Hey, if you're a recruiter and you're hustling, grinding, you're making all the calls, sending all the DMs, ACing people on the street, and you feel desperate to find your next appointment, but you can't seem to make any progress, keep watching, because in this video, I'm going to show you the 3 perspective shifts that will get you real results, even if you're new on recruiting duty. Man, I remember when I first got started as a recruiter, I was struggling. I was hustling, grinding, making all the calls, going out to AC sometimes at midnight, 1 a.m., just because that was the nature of the beast back then. Checking all the boxes, right? Feeling desperate to find my next appointment. Spending more time at work than I did at home. Ruining my relationships, destroying my mental sanity, and eventually I hit rock bottom. But in the midst of all that struggle, I discovered the perspective shifts that allowed me to focus on the real priority, which was focusing on the people I had been entrusted to serve. And these perspective shifts led me to the discovery of the principles of success on recruiting duty that helped me find and multiply my results in a capacity that I could have never imagined. So I'm going to cover those with you today, and I know it's going to change the game for you. So the first perspective shift is the fact that recruiting duty is a commission to serve. Now, I know that most of us, if we're being honest, right, we didn't really enlist to serve our country. Maybe it became that, as we progressed towards our time in the Marine Corps and finally understood the mission of the Marine Corps. But most of us really joined for selfish reasons, man. And I know that because I know the process of the interview. And so I know that most of us didn't pick pride of belonging. Most of us picked financial security, travel, education. So a lot of us really joined to benefit ourselves, which it's not wrong, right? There's nothing wrong with that. I think that the opportunity that the Marine Corps provided us and the opportunity that we're providing other people is great to have all the resources, but that's not really why we enlisted, And so I believe that how you start something, how you come into something determines how you develop throughout the process. And so I understand that a lot of people, because they joined for selfish reasons, they come out here and they believe that other people are joining for the same reasons that they did. And that's, in this day and age, that's not really the case. And so, when we come out here from the fleet, we're sergeants, staff sergeants, maybe even a gunny, and we weren't really serving anyone, We were really just enjoying the comforts of the rank. We were enjoying the comforts that the rank on our collar provided us. And now we're placed in this position where we actually have to serve other people, and we're not really used to that. So what I really want to cover is the perspective shift is covering what that really means, right? And what I mean by that is bringing value into other people's lives in order to create the result that brings value into our lives. And I think most of us don't really understand the reciprocal nature of this duty. And since we're not operating inside of the safety confines of the hierarchy and the structure that we're used to in the Marine Corps, the expectation is that just because we talked to someone or had an interview with them, that they're going to say yes. But that's not how it works. Out here on the streets, no one really owes you anything. As much as you may feel that they do, they don't, right? And so the perspective shift that changes everything is that no one owes you anything. I owe everything to everyone. And really that the concept behind that, the perspective shift and the principle behind that is the law of compensation. Because in Matthew 20, verse 26, Jesus said, "He who wants to be greatest among you, let him be servant of all. Just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as ransom for many." And when I think about that, I see how some people on recruiting duty are actually doing this and others aren't. And that's why some people see results more than other people. And that is also why your results continue to be inconsistent, because if you have found results already, maybe you have a really good month, right? What we refer to as a really good month. And you have some months where it's not as good. And the truth behind that is that the reason why you had a good month is because you were out there finding people finding people to serve instead of finding people to serve you, because that makes a world of difference in the dynamic of energy exchange while you're having these interactions, especially at first encounter, and most importantly during the interview. And so if you can make that perspective shift of like, hey, I'm here to serve other people, instead of I'm here to write contracts so that I can be successful, so that I can get meritoriously promoted, so that I can go back to the fleet and enjoy my life, it's going to make a big difference in how you approach your day-to-day interactions, in the results that you get from that. And that brings me to the next perspective shift that is super important, and it ties in, and that's the fact that recruiters, as recruiters, you have to care more about people and less about contracts. And man, I'll tell you, I know that sounds the opposite from what you've probably heard, because out here we have a tendency to focus on the end result. Why? Because we call this a results-based business, right? But and I would say that that's factual, but it's not the complete truth. So what is, right? What is the complete truth about what it is that we do as recruiters? Well, let's approach it from the angle of the fact that we're here to get results, okay? And in order to do that, we have to have a truthful definition of what it actually represents. So most of us believe that when we write a contract, it's a result of our ability to sell. Now, don't get me wrong, you do need that skill set. You need the skill set of sales in order to help people make a decision. But in reality, a contract is the result of your ability to uncover and deliver value for your applicant. Why? Because as a Marine recruiter, your real mission is to help people make a transformation. If you're more focused on convincing people to say yes instead of being focused on encouraging, empowering, equipping, and enabling the people to accept the desire for transformation, you will not have any consistent results. So in reality, this isn't so much about a results-based business as it is as an intentional inputs-based business. And once you lock in on that, you will start to see more people come to you for help that they were already looking for. And that's going to make a difference, because that is also what is going to help you get more referral business from the people that you're helping, because you have helped them find real value and a real solution to the transformation that they were already wanting to make. And so when you approach an applicant, right, when you're looking at the process of helping people overcome fear and take that leap of faith to making the transformations and changing their lives forever through the vehicle that is the Marine Corps, you have to care more about the person and the transformation that they desire than the contract that you're about to write that's going to get you off of zero. So that perspective shift right there is what I believe is what bridges the gap between talking to a lot of people and not getting any, and getting sporadic results, and talking to a few people and multiplying your results. Because I believe that having that intention behind what you do is a way to leverage trust, right? Because you're building a relationship throughout this whole process. So having the right intention at the start of your interaction is a way that you can leverage trust to build that relationship so that you can help people actually move forward in faith to that transformation. And if you think about it, if you do that, that person that just trusted in you has other people that trust in him or her. And when that poolee talks about you as a helper instead of as a recruiter, bro, that's gonna change the game for you, because that's how you start to get all this referral business, right? So that perspective shift is super important because it bridges the gap between activity and result. I'm telling you right now, intention behind activity and overall outcome, which is really the transformation of becoming a Marine through the development and the mentorship that you put into the relationship between you and the poolee, right, or the applicant. So that's a game changer right there, and that bridges the gap. So let's talk about the third and final perspective shift that is going to help you out on this duty. And I think that this affects everybody at some point, but man, this perspective shift right here is going to set you free. And it is that time is not your enemy unless you focus on it, right? Now you may be thinking, what the heck? What do you mean? Because time is not really on our side when it comes to what we do. And that could potentially be the case if you don't have the last two perspectives about what you do that I just talked about while you're doing it, right? And so the perspective shift right here, the reason why this is going to set you free is because it's going to help you look at what you have as a resource, but in particular the time. It's going to help you look at it in a way that you've never really seen before, and that is, like, for example, I see a lot of recruiters that say they don't have enough time, and this is actually really interesting, because I feel like as Marines, but really specifically on this duty, on recruiting duty, we approach everything from a lack perspective, right? There's not enough days in the calendar. There's not enough hours in the day. There's not enough, people that want to join in my area of operations. There's no one that wants to join, right? And so what we're doing is we're focusing on things that aren't there, instead of focusing on what God has already put at your disposal to accomplish the assignment that He has given you. And the truth is that lack is a lens that keeps you paralyzed, anxiety-ridden, and mentally imprisoned to failure. And so if you feel like you're stuck, man, and all you see around you is how things are falling apart, and how you had all these kids that were supposed to come and talk to you and come in for an appointment, but now, they've fallen off. Maybe they ghosted you, and they're not, people aren't really like following through on their commitment. Well, you're focusing on the very thing that is going to keep you in that same place for as long as you focus on it. And so what we have to do is we have to take the lack lens off and start to see things the way God wants us to see them. Now, how do we do that from a practical standpoint? Now, remember that a lot of what I'm sharing with you today are things that I learned over the course of the 7 years that I've been on recruiting duty. And these are not things that people talk about at all, right? And when I say people, really, I'm referring to the command, right? The RI, the CO, the XO, the OPSO, right? All they're really pushing you is to get the results. But the truth is that the results are not the focus. The results aren't the priority. The results aren't the mission, okay? The results are the byproduct of the perspective, the intention, and the desire behind what you're doing, because you have to understand that this is a people business, right? And so you have to understand the laws that govern people in nature in the way that God created them. And so how do we flip that perspective then? Well, you have to start with being thankful. Thankful for the opportunity to serve others, for the access that God has given you in your schools, for the communities and the position of influence that you've been entrusted with. And once you can shift your perspective to lack to being thankful, now you can start to see and identify how you can be a better steward of the resources God has put at your disposal, and start to identify points of leverage that will multiply your reach, your influence, and your time. Every recruiter situation is going to be different, of course, because we're all in different places of the country, right? Freaking East Coast, West Coast, the Midwest. And so your situation is going to be different. However, every recruiter has the ability to change their perspective. And if you can change your perspective, it will help you see opportunities that have been right in front of you all along that you couldn't see before because you had the lack lens on. Now, I'm going to tie it in with this, okay? I'm going to finish off with this because I think this is important. Now, here's what I want you to understand, that it's actually really funny. I think God has a sense of humor because, God put you on recruiting duty to help people make the transformation that will set them apart from everybody else in the world. And that transformation is the transformation of becoming a Marine. And the funny thing is that He's putting you in the place where you get to put people through the process of transformation that is also seeking to transform you. And here's what I want to ask you, okay? Here's the question that I want you to ask yourself is, when is the last time that I made a real transformation in my life, in myself, in the way that I see things and what I believe? Because if the last time you made a real transformation is when you went to boot camp, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, 13 years ago, then it's been too long. And maybe God has put you in this place and giving you this assignment so that you can make the next transformation, so that you can enter a season of transformation where through servitude, gratitude, and these perspective shifts, you can start to see things in a different way, so that you can do things in a different way, so that you can become more, so that you can be more helpful, not only to the people that you serve on recruiting duty, but to everyone else that you're going to serve after you leave recruiting duty. And so, man, I'm telling you, if you make these 3 perspective shifts and start to serve your applicants, serve your community, serve your team, by focusing your intention and your inputs, and by acknowledging and being grateful for the opportunity God has given you for the next 3 years, you will find more joy in what you do. And you will be more successful as a result. All right, so I hope you guys, man, that's it. That's all I have to share with you guys today. If you found some value in this video, I encourage you to share this video with anyone who you may feel would benefit from it, who's maybe struggling, having a hard time on recruiting duty, because this is going to change your life and theirs. Man, that's it. Until next time, stay blessed. See you in the next video.